I'm going to run through with you what I typically carry on an overnight bushwalk in temperate conditions in New South Wales. So, getting started, a 35 litre backpack. This is what I like using. Simple setup, not too many bells and whistles. Sleeping gear, I carry with me a small sleeping bag, looks something like that, nicely compressed down to make it easier to pack in. My sleeping mat, again, something that packs down nice and small. Sleeping bag liner, something that'll do the job, keep me a little bit extra warm, as well as being able to keep my sleeping bag nice and clean. I always throw in some dry bags as well. That's in case the conditions change and I want to be able to keep gear dry. If I know it's going to be raining, I'll specifically pack my gear in these when I get started. My tent looks something like this. It's a little one-man tent. Obviously, if you're camping with a group, you might decide to share your tent out and be able to split that up between your packs. All right, wet weather, raincoat, very important. Also, beanie, keeping yourself nice and warm. I find lots of layers are good, particularly as the conditions start to get cooler. So I like to carry lots of thermal layers. That's a thermal top, some thermal bottoms as well, and some spare undies. Sun hat, something like that, very important, as well as some sunscreen. I carry that typically in the top of my backpack. Sunnies as well, which I forgot to bring today, but I would normally have them in my pack. Now, in terms of food prep, I like to carry a billy and a stove. Again, in a little separate container, that keeps it all from getting the rest of my pack dirty. Billy looks a bit well worn and travelled. Inside my billy, I'll have my gas canister nicely tucked away like that, as well as my stove. I've got my lighter in there as well, so it's all ready to go once I roll into camp and I'm ready for making my dinner. I want to make sure also that I don't forget my food. So this is my food bag. It's got all the stuff that I'll need for my lunch, my dinner, my breakfast, as well as snacks. But I typically pack those snacks near the top of my bag to make them easy to grab out on the track. In terms of food utensils, I'll have my bowl, cup. I usually just carry a spork. That's handy for cooking, as well as a penknife. That's great for just chopping up bits and pieces as I go. I like to carry a water bladder with me. I find this is a really great way of being able to collect water en route, as well as be able to vary how much I carry. Obviously, I'm going to be carrying more in hotter conditions. First aid kit and personal locator beacon. I keep that all in the one place, so that's got all of the things that I'll need in case of an emergency, as well as a small repair kit in there as well. Map and map case, compass, that would go near the top of my pack. Camera, I like to be able to take some photos when I get out on the trail. Torch, nice for nighttime stuff, as well as a spare lighter. Insect repellent, depending upon the conditions. Toothpaste, toothpaste and toothbrush right there, and some extra snacks for the top of my backpack. So if you're like me and you use a wheelchair, some of the extra things that you might want to consider when you're going on an overnight bushwalk is puncture repair kit. Well, that's pretty much something you want to be carrying most places. I find a spare cushion cover really handy. If it gets wet and your seat gets wet, it's really nice to be able to get changed into something that's dry at the end of the day. I like to use gloves when I'm pushing on the trail. That just saves my hands from getting wear and tear, and also protects from sticks and other sharp bits on the track. If you use medication, make sure you carry enough of that and some backups. Carry emergency medical plan as well, and let the appropriate people know about that. So for toileting, toilet paper and a trowel is really helpful, as well as some instant hand sanitizer. That just keeps everything under control. If you have extra equipment needed for bowel care, keep that in a separate bag as well. And some continence aids such as catheters, make sure you've got plenty of them with you. and any additional adaptive equipment as well. For myself, I like to use the freewheel, which attaches to the front of my wheelchair, and if I'm on a trip where I'm anticipating needing some assistance, I might take some extra rope where I can husky up my teammates with me. So I find once my pack's loaded up with gear and food that it's a bit of a strain on my shoulders to get that onto the back of my chair. So I generally just grab someone in the group, get them to give me a hand lifting it onto the back of my chair. So Matt, if you wouldn't mind just loading that on, I'll get you to put the main shoulder straps just on the back of the handles there. That'd be great. And then we'll just make sure that all the straps are neatly tucked in so that they don't get caught up in the wheels. That's feeling great so far. Thanks. So that's the setup that works well for me, but it's a matter of playing around with what you feel comfortable with and finding a setup that works well for you. The main principle to just bear in mind is that you make sure that you've got weight distributed in a way that there's just a little bit more in front of your axle, and that prevents your chair from tipping over. So a few different things that you might consider is if you're the sort of person that likes to carry a backpack on your shoulders around town, that could be something that works for you on a bushwalk, particularly if you've got a low backrest. The other option is you might want to strap a bag to the front of your legs. Just be aware of pressure injuries there. And a final idea to play around with could be strapping a milk crate or another setup to the front of your freewheel where you can carry gear in there. Head to Bushwalking 101 to download a full gear list for overnight bushwalking, and we'll hope to see you out there.